this idea of eternal torture has just been, it's such an over the top manipulation toy. It's like if you can get people to believe that, you can scare them into doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
But that's precisely why I think it's antichrist. It's strictly counter to, and it's not plausible. I think people hear that and it's like, what? That doesn't put fear in anybody. That sounds like it's so obviously contrary to our most basic moral instincts. Like even if you hear that someone was doing it to Hitler for all eternity, you'd think, well, that person's sicker than Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's not a selling point anymore. Maybe it was in the Middle Ages, but nowadays I think it's what's much more plausible. I think what people can relate to is this: that our behavior when we're self-centered and tribalistic and nationalistic and looking out for number one, we bring destruction on ourselves and others. Our behavior is inherently self-destructive, and I think that's just getting more and more clear right now with the way we've ravaged this planet for our own, without any respect for putting anything back into it. We've been just sucking out the oil, getting these fossil fuels to build this Babel that we've built that has requiring this enormous amount of energy constantly on a diminishing resource. We built a perpetual growth economy on a perpetual diminishing resource, which, by the way, also traps heat. And so we're warming up this planet, bringing about this chaos. And we've known what we were doing from the start since 1800. There are people back in 1800 who were saying we should maybe be moderate with this use of oil because it's a finite resource. Use it, but no, we just wanted to have as much of it as possible right now because it brings about this technology with all this great advancement and all this blah 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 blah. Look at the heaven we've built for ourselves, and it's incredible. It really is incredible. Our standard of living is multiple times higher than any other people in all of history,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't last. It can't, and it's built on a lie, on this illusion, and it's bringing destruction on ourselves. And that's what always I think people can relate to that, and that's how I see judgment in the Bible. It's God letting us hang ourselves with the noose He's given us.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I can. That's something I've thought about a lot of like how like the book of Revelation can be metaphorically true. Like everything you're describing of the way we've made a hell on earth, and the idea of the sky will go dark and the sea will turn to blood, and just it'll be like death and destruction because of our own sin. Like that's in a very abstract way. That's describing the consequences of climate change because of fossil
Yeah,
fuels. Yeah.
it's a classic example, and maybe the fatal example of our hubris. We
Hmm.
thought, and we still think we're smart enough to figure this out. We're going to come up with someone's going to design something. We're going to be able to get this, suck all the carbon out of the atmosphere. We have these, or the geoengineering. We're going to create our own clouds that are going to be able to block this, and they're holding out hope for this. And how has that been working for us? How's that worked in the past? Whenever we screw with Mother Nature, how's that working? We've so messed this up, and all the chemicals we're putting on all of our produce in order to have enough of it to grow all our meat in our industrial farms and all of that. And now we're finding out that it's affecting our hormones. I don't know if you've been reading up on this, but these forever chemicals that are in there, and we know that they wreak havoc on mice. That mice, the male mice become more feminized mice become more masculine. It tends to level out the gender distinctions. We already are finding that the sperm count among men is just diving. It has been for the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just read this thing where the average male now, two little stats here. I bet you didn't think we'd be mentioning on the podcast, but
No, bring it. Yeah.
I don't know if Jeremy told you, but I have ADD, and so it tends to bounce all over the place because everything's connected to everything else. But
We are here for the tangents.
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Preach it, Greg.
but it's a case that our sperm counts in Western culture are about half what they were in 1970, and the average male penis size has shrunk about 20%. I didn't know they measured that, but apparently they do. And yeah, so
It's
I'm
like
glad.
God is trying to send us a message, like we
I,
don't with
this is
mass.
this is one example where I'm glad that I'm older than you guys.
God sent plagues. He sent
Wow.
famine.
Wow.
He said
That
war.
is the ultimate roast right there.
Yeah.
He's hitting us where it hurts, like if genocide and plague and famine, we don't listen to that. But if the minute he starts making our penises smaller, that's
God's like,
that's
I'll
the
get,
only way we're
I'll
gonna
get their
our act together.
attention.
This ought to do it. Oh, shrink your penises.
I don't know.
Oh,
That
please,
feels
you-
kind of coercive to me, Greg. I don't know.
Yeah, God is not coerced.
But God's not doing it. I think in God's will, He would like us to all have, very enhanced penises. But in this fallen world,
yeah, we'll have perfect bodies, of course.
There's a hot take. There's a hot take for a social media clip.
Okay.
How Romans 9 explains penis size.
We talked about that many episodes ago.
So
Like,
cool.
why did God not make us with perfect penises? Why did He require some
Think
modification?
to yourself. Don't generalize that. Maybe some of us have perfect penises. Never
Oh
mind.
man, that's so much wisdom there. I'm going to be processing that
Yes.
this for weeks. Just that at closing monologue, that soliloquy.
Yeah, I thought we were kind of going to get, like wiser and wiser as the podcast went on, but I think we're kind of going the other direction.
Yeah.